Hi, everyone. Good morning. If you are on the West Coast like me, good whatever part of the day. If you're anywhere else in the world, pop into the chat and introduce yourself and let us know where you're coming from and why you've joined us today. Hopefully, it has something to do with venture capital or you're in the wrong place. If it doesn't, then you're going to learn a lot about venture capital in the next hour. My name is Sarah Lacey, and I'm on the marketing team at Dessel Group, and I've been in Silicon Valley since I don't know, the world creation began, it feels like some days. I've been a founder a couple times. I've been an investigative journalist. Sometimes I've been on the side of good and sometimes on the side of evil, it sounds like. But I'm here today because we were doing an event with our guest a couple of months ago. I asked what I felt like was an innocuous question and there was a record scratch. 200 people on Zoom gasped. Everyone had to know more. We're going to get into it. Before we do, I want to introduce our guest, Arzu from Trio VC. Thank you for being here. We've been trying to do this for forever, and you had the terrible cold everyone else has had.
Yeah,
So
I
thank
have.
you. I'm sure you have backed up on work. So thank you for making time for this today.
Thank you, sir. I feel much better and ready to share my experience with our VC Lab community.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so before we get going, I just want to let everyone know a couple housekeeping things. First of all, I want this to be somewhat of an interactive session. If you've got questions, put them in the Q&A area down there, and I will try to get to them. I will get to them, as many of them as possible. And meantime, in the chat, share your LinkedIn information. Talk about anything that funds you're working on, anything you want to share, obviously. And then also, I want to just let you know, obviously, Arzu is one of the almost 1,000 funds that we have helped launch here at Dessel Group. We are really like providing the torches and pitchforks to the emerging manager community, particularly sub $100 million funds, which, really are the discovery layer of the startup world. Everyone talks about mega funds, but if it weren't for this class of funds, there would be nothing for mega funds to invest in because they are certainly not rolling up their sleeves and doing the hard work of, a brand new company. So if you are interested in creating a brand new venture fund and you're like, I was not born on venture capital third base, I don't know LPs, I don't have a huge track record, but I think I would kick ass at this. And as we continue to talk today, you really think I would kick ass at this? Dominica is going to put information in the chat but you can go to govclab.com and check out our programs. We are right now taking applications for cohort 21. Cohort 20 has just kicked off and is already kicking ass. In fact, yesterday in our meeting, we had a huge fundraising total for the day. So they have like hit the race, hit the I need more coffee. Hit the races. I don't think that's a metaphor. But they're killing it. They're crushing it. You can be part of cohort 21. We believe in you. And now we're going to get to Arzu. And she is going to talk about, in fact, quite an amazing experience that she had. She was one of our most successful fundraisers by a long shot in her cohort. And so, okay, we're doing, whenever we have these like just badass rock stars, like these top closers in their cohorts, we're always like, all right, so like we got to get you to do one of these events so we can hear all about what you did because any manager who's raising a first time fund is so unique that you're really coming at this with like what is your special sauce? What is the thing that only you can do? Why, if you haven't had like a huge track record, do people have to take your money? Like that's why LPs are going to give you money, right? So your stories are all completely unique. One of the
Yeah.
fun things about doing these events. And I asked what I thought was a very innocuous question, which was, how much of your outreach is cold outreach? Because one of the big things that Mike and Adeo will take people through in the VC Lab program is you got to start with people you know. And sometimes that can be difficult for people because they're like, oh, I don't want to call people I know and ask them for money. And we're like, you have to. And, and then you'll start spreading out to other people. And so I was like, okay, well, how much is cold outreach? And you were like, well, I'll let you give the punchline in a minute. But you had much more success with cold outreach than most people. And when you told us this, the chat just lit up and everyone had 1,000 questions. And it was the end of the hour. And everyone was like, please have her back to tell us more, which is
Amazing.
what we're
Great to
doing
hear
today.
that. Yeah.
All right. So start where we ended last time. Tell us about your cold outreach, why it did so well. Because I remember the other thing that you said, and I promise I'll stop talking in a moment, everybody. The other thing that you said was you closed almost everyone on Zoom. And you said the big thing people said is, Arzu, I trust you. So
Yeah.
somehow you did a lot of cold outreach. You closed everyone on Zoom, both people you knew and didn't.
Yeah.
And people almost all said that sentence. So there is something you did from that first outreach through the whole process,
Hmm.
and we want to know what it is. So start with where you ended last time, what that sort of ratio was to your LP
Hmm.
base, and who you
Okay.
knew and who you didn't.
All right. During the fundraising, I spent more than 15 years raising capital across different ecosystems, Sarah. That's why I know how to think about what the donor, what the funder, what the investor ask, when they are having a conversation with you. Uh, so I raised tens of millions from different sources like venture capital, development banks, and foundations, etc. Early on, I realized something very surprising. Cold outreach isn't about selling. It is about something thoughtful conversation with the right people. So in the beginning, as you said, I wasn't have a big VC community in when we started. My other two co-founders are more experienced than me on the VC accelerator programs and fund management experience. Uh, so I am very good at building systems to be able to keep up with them. In the fundraising, I needed to do some, different approaches. So it worked actually. When we communicated last time, I don't recall what percentages I told you, but before our call, I communicated my co-founder, and I also calculate my, cold LP conversions. 22% of my LPs I brought to my fund, to your VC, is coming from cold outreaches, and around 10 to 15% from, for the statistics works for CHIDAM, and DDAM only focused on her network warm intros. So I can tell that 22 to 25.
So
My
of the three of you, it was just really different strategies then, which is
Yeah,
also
we
interesting.
did. Yeah, we did. And I when I understood that, we have a great tool like Desal Hub. So I'm very into all these technologic tools and sources. How can I use that? How can I do that? So in the beginning, I couldn't figure out how can I use this Desal Hub as a CRM tool. When I figured out, it would really worked amazing. So I studied statistics during my university. So I am always, counting the numbers. 50 lead generation took my, 2 hours and 15 minutes. So what should I do? Which days I should focus on the generating leads and then put them in this hub. So, and then in the beginning, I did a lot of mistakes and terrible things, but I'm going to share what works for me today. So, first, let's start with the mindset. In the beginning, I was so, how can I say, I'm a very confident person, but in the VC world, in the beginning, I wasn't like that. So, after I communicated with all my people who are billionaires, exited startups in the beginning, they know me from my, earlier era, other works, other side. They are not knowing me as a VC or investor. So my angel investing history started in 2021. So I needed to do that to be able to fundraise. So you need to change the mindset. In the beginning, I was a bit shy, a bit unconfident. My confidence level was, everyone has different insecurities. Instead of thinking about how do I get something from this person, or I need to communicate immediately, I'd shift mindset. So is there a reason this person might actually want this conversation? So what should be the interesting thing for him or her to be able to connect with me and, having a conversation with me. So I was into personal branding since my early career. I don't know how did I learn this, or how should I focus on this, but when you Google yourself, it is, it's a great perspective. You can see how people see you on the digital, world. So paying attention, personal branding is really helpful, was really helpful to me, because I wrote a book, I did a lot of, I had articles, I had interviews, I was very, careful about what I'm sharing and how I am sharing, how I'm posting myself on the internet. So every, seeds are is a, giving you or your people, your prospects, having an idea about who you are. So it is very important. First and foremost, if you are going to cold, intros and cold outreach, you have to pay attention your personal branding. I can highly, highly recommend this.
And
So
just to pause,
yeah,
I just did this as you were saying this as an exercise, just everyone as Arzu's talking, you go into Google and put your name and do it in an open window because Google will show you what it thinks you want to see like an unlisted window.
or
And
LLMs now right now.
yeah, I know, right? And like don't look at the LLM. And it's like, I feel like we all used to do this at one point, like early on with Google, or like when we used to like we started like when Google started to like know everything when you would like date someone and go Google them. And it's like I can't remember the last time I put my own name in Google to like look at it. And I think it is one of those things every once in a while you should do to see, like, what is your digital footprint? And it's like, as you're talking, it's a good thing for all of us to do right now and see, like, what are we putting out into the world? Like, for instance, Google still thinks I'm married and I haven't been in 13 years. But, yeah, doing that constant like refresher. Cause so often we can, like, I do a lot of, storytelling work as a marketer, and you always have this thing that's kind of like the curse of knowledge, where it's like
Yeah,
there's things you think everyone knows or everyone may know about you or everyone may see about you, that you think you don't need to tell people, or doesn't have to be stated or doesn't have to be explicit. And because it's in your head and you've lived with it for so long, and it's really hard in a very quick cold outreach Zoom to get that across.
hmm,
But I think it is such a underutilized step, an almost too obvious step to, go look at Google and, that is what someone's going to see. Or, just even pulling up your LinkedIn, pulling these
yeah.
obvious things that would be someone's first step. Sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you. Go
I
ahead.
am obsessed with this audience. For me, my co-founders, our founders, it is really important. And I don't like just, being on LinkedIn, just being on LinkedIn. I don't love, taking photos. I was there. It doesn't matter. So you need to be position yourself as a thought leader, whatever you are doing. So this is the first thing I can recommend. And that creates curiosity, because some people told me that when I first met them, Arzu, you are so interesting because you did a lot of things, you in your career, so in different paths, in different things. So I can start explaining my career story and my, how can I see, living life, etc. It creates some, conversations, because I didn't do the same thing over and over and over throughout my career. I tested a lot of things. So it creates curiosity, and then it creates also some trust when they look at your personal brand on the digital footprint. So, and then I noticed that instead of in the beginning, I was trying to impress some people when I spoke with them on Zoom. Since my husband had some health issues, I couldn't travel almost 1.5 years or 2 years. So I needed to fundraise only on Zoom. So that's why in the beginning I was, how can I say, in-person meetings are much interesting for me, because I know that I can convince, I can influence, I can share who am I clearly, authentically. But on the Zoom, I didn't figure out in the beginning. So I was overly trying to impress people, how I am successful, how my co-founders are great, what is our vision, mission, what do we want to do, achieve with Trio VC. It took almost, how can I say, 30 minutes conversations, almost half of it about this, trying to impress the counterpart. So it didn't work in the beginning. So I told myself, if I was a consultant to me or coach to me, what should I do? So I was, of course, I am confident, but at the end, I don't need to try to impress someone else. So instead of doing that, being clear, being authentic, share your vision, and if you have traction, in the beginning there was no traction, so it was very difficult to me. But at the end, in the middle of the fundraising, it was really helpful to me. So I'm gonna share some, templates from my emails, from my LinkedIn messages. So as we told our founders, even though we are not investing in you right at this moment for different reasons, please update us. Share your investor updates, share your, new client acquisitions, whatever updates you have, please share it with us. We are telling this to our pipeline founders, potential, startups, that we might think invest in those startups. So I use the same approach to myself. I can tell this. Do you have
Yeah,
any
yeah,
questions,
yeah. Sorry,
Sarah? If
sorry,
you
I was
are
on
not
mute. Uh,
muted, I'm gonna
yeah.
speak all day long.
Yeah, let's go through it because I remember one of the things that I wanted to know before we ran out of time is like, what are subject lines? Like, because so often I can write a brilliant email. I think so often it's like a matter of I love what you said earlier of like cold outreach isn't about closing to get someone to invest. And like
Yeah.
often I think about each conversation is really like closing for someone to spend a little bit more time with you or like closing for the next meeting. And like people get too focused on the end goal versus the next goal. But it's so hard if someone doesn't know your name to even get them to open something. And like
Okay.
that to me is often even the hardest hurdle.
Yeah.
How do you even create curiosity if they have opened their inbox and there's 1,000 things and they're just
Mm,
gonna blind delete stuff they don't know. So like
mm.
let's start with the basics on like
Okay.
how you craft even a cold outreach.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. So in the beginning, I was, using Sales Navigator, creating some groups, categories, and prospects, and then download it to the different applications with emails, and then try to communicate with them email. It didn't work because in the email we all receiving a lot of email, and there is no, how can I say, look at who is that person and who are their contacts. So that's why I shift my focus only Sales Navigator. So on the Sales Navigator, of course, there is cold emails, but I worked at, who are this person? There are some seniority levels, current role, previous founder, operator experience, geography, industry background, alumni groups, etc. I use these keywords or categories on the Sales Navigator, and but real signals are qualitative. For example, I look for people who previously built companies, people who are executives who work in technology or innovation roles, people who are individuals who told publicly entrepreneurship and position themselves as an investor, and people who are active in startup ecosystems. So depends on their, positioning, depends on how they influence their networks. I also read their posts, interviews, sometimes post podcast appearances before communicate with them to be able to understand how do they think, how they, express themselves, how do they articulate their thoughts, etc. So to be able to understand this, you cannot do this for everyone else. So, but some people are very well connected, so you have one shot to be able to have, communicate with them 30 minutes. So for some people you are putting a lot of efforts for that meeting specifically. So on the Sales Navigator, for instance, I'm creating some, groups, exited startup founders in Boston, New York, etc. So I look at our Desal Hub. So I want to understand that if one of my co-founders has already communicated with that person. If not, I am putting this, using the Desal Hub's extension, edit hold section. Edit hold. All these people are edit hold in the first, before connecting with them. So I see my all edit hold list. So, and afterwards I can calculate 50 lead took my 2 hours and 15 minutes. So based on that, I can, program my week or days or whatever, block time, and then focus on the email part. First, after edit hold, I am sharing, LinkedIn connection request with them. I'm going to share the messages. And then after they accept, I am sending a message and then shift their, stage to reach out to contact section part. And then asking to be, if they are interested in communicating with me or having a conversation with me at this reach out stage. And then if they say yes, schedule a call section. And I'm sharing the calendar link or whatever. And then they set the meeting, now schedule meeting. And then after our call, following up email, and then understand if they are prospect or not, if they are interested in that. Based on this conversation, I am putting in different, stages. So you can play in your CRM system like this. So it will give, it was, really helpful to me to prepare my day and allocate my time and focus my connections, because you've been connecting with how many people, I don't know, thousands of people. When you look at your Desal Hub, you will see a lot of people in there. So at that point, there wasn't any granola, there wasn't any, claw solutions. So I was able to do that at that point. And then I created some, presentation kind of thing for you and for audience to be able to do that. So yeah, I connected with them on the LinkedIn, and then it was really helpful to me to have conversation. It was so easy because they are look at my contacts, they are look at my posts and everything. There is a trustable, credible profile they see, and then they are saying yes. Many people says yes if they are not interested in this VC. Some of them prospect LPs are tired of getting this type of approaches. They are saying no, it is okay, no, that means no. And then I am putting the stage as the explaining why and change their stages there, so we are not communicating with them anymore. So using CRM system is really helpful, and time how can I say, time management, it is very helpful.
It strikes me the other thing that's really beneficial about using a CRM system in that way is the psychological aspect of like you are like you're not letting like the emotional process like overtake you. Like you're seeing like, okay, I'm talking to this many people,
Yeah,
this many said yes, sure, this many said no, but this many people like something about like sort of seeing that probably all in a flow means
yeah.
that like the emotional impact of this many no's is probably not getting to you because you're putting it all in perspective.
Yeah, in the beginning, I took every no is a personal, personal, it is no. Say I couldn't do that. I couldn't explain well myself and the company, everything. So it took a lot of time to digest. No is no because they're not interested in this asset. It is not a good time. Everyone has different problems in their lives. Timing is the most important element in our fundraising. So instead of taking all no's as a personal, there is not the right time. I see. If there is clearly no, there is not the right time. I can understand that. So I'm gonna help you to make your decision. This is mindset.
Mhm,
After
mhm,
I put my in my brain actually.
mhm.
So afterwards, everything is stats and persons and all the performance metrics and everything. So it was so easy to manage the process. I can tell that because you are at the end you are asking 100K or 200K, whatever, to cold outreach, it is not so easy. So you have to respect the person's time and respect their response at the end. So if they give you their 30 minutes to you, you have to be well prepped. So you need to understand how they think, how do they express themselves, and how do they approach investing. So you need to do your work in the beginning. So the 30 minutes is really important. So you shouldn't waste their time.
That's such an amazing perspective. So just to, I know you said, sometimes you would watch like podcasts, you would read things, and, so often people, really just they think, well, I'm going to have to pitch 20 people, so I'm just going to, blaze through these, and I don't think they see each one of those people in terms of the individual time they need to put in, and that you've got one shot mentality. How much time on average do you think you had to prep for each of those 30-minute meetings?
30 minutes, at least 45 minutes.
I mean, that
30
still seems
minutes.
really efficient. Like you're very efficient in how you
Because Sarah, even though they are not coming to our fund LP, if there's a way to connect with them, very authentic way, they can help you um, connect you with other investors,
Yeah.
connect you with other startup funders. Or 30 minutes is really important. Even though they are not investing in this fund, I can
Yeah.
build relationship and then I can nurture them. I can, communicate with them all throughout the process. This is a long game at the end. This is our fund.
Totally.
But
But
fund two, they might be interested in investing us, or they
okay.
might interested in connect with other people. So you can
So
have this mentality
no,
when you are approaching someone else.
but what I'm surprised is that in only 45 minutes you could gain that much. Like when I was a journalist, if I'm going to interview someone, it's like I feel like I did hours of research. But let me ask you two other quick questions, and then I know we've already got questions piling up, and then and then I don't know. Did you say you had some stuff you wanted to share? Did I miss?
Yeah, I should send it to you, so maybe it will be easier.
Maybe Dominica, because I don't know
Dominica,
what
okay,
I'm doing.
okay, you're not sure.
Okay, so but so two questions. First of all, two things that surprise me in this is, I mean, everything, but one is that you were reaching out to people on LinkedIn and they were saying they wanted
Mhm.
to connect with you. Like, I don't check anything on LinkedIn, and I so rarely talk. I think I even more rarely connect with a cold outreach on LinkedIn than I probably do an email.
Hmm.
And I think when I was a journalist and I had, thousands of people reaching out to me that I didn't know on LinkedIn and on email, I would be probably even less likely to open one from LinkedIn, because you just get even more people can ping you on LinkedIn than can on email. So I feel like the volume is even more. So, I just, and I think you're maybe going to show us then like the templates of what you said. I just find that so surprising. And so while we're waiting on that, I'd love to understand. So often people say, "Can I have a 30-minute meeting?" But then they really want to take more of your time. They're just trying to say a 30-minute meeting because it sounds innocuous, but it is really hard to get across what you need to get across in a 30-minute meeting. Maybe
Hmm.
this is just me because I talk a lot, but you know, you want to do a lot of things. You need to get across sort of like you need to make a human connection with someone over Zoom, which can be difficult.
Hmm.
So you want to have a moment where you can not just slam into pitching them and you're building that. You want to make sure, this is not just pitching a startup, this is pitching a fund and you're going to be a money manager. So you want to make sure you're listening to them. You want to make sure you're understanding what they're looking for. You want to
Hmm.
make sure you're communicating obviously what you're doing, but obviously talking about, this innate thing in you that's going to be fully unique. You want to
Hmm.
make sure you're really paying attention and listening to the signals they're sending you so that, as you said, you can quickly understand if they're a prospect. Like, this is a lot to do in 30 minutes. How do
Yeah.
you think about dividing up that 30 minutes? And I wonder how different each one is, because I
Hmm.
found when I would be, if I have 30 minutes to interview someone as a journalist, if I go in with a set script for each person or a set idea with each person, I'm going to blow it, because really I have to think, if I get one thing out of this, it's successful, but mostly I'm going to have to just be in the moment and paying attention and reactive.
Hmm. I couldn't, calculate how percentages I'm paying attention. It depends, the person who are you talking with. So 30 minutes is, yeah, you have to well prepped first. But in the beginning, it was It wasn't like, 30 minutes. It was almost, 45, 1 hour. So it is not good for you and for the other person as well. So you need to stop at 25th minute. So you need to get some questions if they have, or in 5 minutes Q&A session. Actually, the most helpful thing to me actually to listen them instead of talking too much. In the beginning, you were explaining a lot of things about your fund, your portfolio, how they are successful, how you are, brilliant funders, built this, Trio VC as a VC firm. So you were over explain everything. So it doesn't work because you are not understanding how they are approaching this type of fund or this type of investment. So there is no time. So if you stop oversharing, just listen, just ask great questions. And what are their latest investments? How do they approach this VC asset? And then in the beginning, it's a friendly conversation. So the reason the meeting is so clear to me, I'm telling them because I am doing this job. I am building this firm. We have great founders. We have things. I have three focus in our conversation. First, some people, as you are, Sarah, you are investors. Some people, after our conversation, they are interested in our investment fund, to invest in our fund. The second is sometimes we are speaking with people as LP, as investors, as you. They might interested in becoming an advisor. The third one is becoming a client. So that's why I'm sharing this, Trio VC explanations and what we are building. So it might be great opportunity for you to invest or to build a network around Trio VC. So after this question, I can understand their approach and then shift our conversation around this.
I
In the
think that's
beginning, you
really,
are not
yeah.
sharing that. You should invest in our fund. You
Yeah.
should do that.
I think that's really smart because I think one thing that a lot of founders, I mean, a lot of emerging managers fall into is they get this like not yet. And, there's so many debates that we hear with managers in VC Lab of like, is a not yet a no or a yes? And, it's really not a no because in a way that it is with a VCs and a founder, because, a lot of times people do want to pay attention and see, are you going to get traction from other LPs? Are you starting to, once you do a first close, are you getting into interesting deals? I mean, they want to, if you don't have a fundraising track record coming into this, they want to see how you start building that,
Yeah,
live while you're closing this fund. And
yeah.
so truly, like, I mean, I think every single VC Lab fund I've spoken to has not yets that have turned into yeses. So I think you are going to be shooting yourself in the foot if you take the attitude of a not yet is a no. However, you are going to have to manage your time well. And so I think it's really wise to early on give people that sort of buffet of options so that someone who truly is a not yet no can put themselves into another track, and you
Mm-hmm.
have you're giving them social permission to put
Mm-hmm.
themselves into a slot and not just be polite about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because of our thesis, because of our investment focus, some people feel um, they can support, even though they are not becoming an investor. So it is good for us because at the end, as I told you in the beginning, so they can introduce us different investors. So
Mhm.
it's really helpful. So when they are saying no, if they are saying no, I am not interested in. I am an investor, but I am not interested in micro VCs, emerging fund managers. I am focused on this kind of assets. If they're saying no, I respect that. But at that point, I am saying that, okay, who are in your network might be interested in, to communicate, to talk with. So do you want to introduce me to them, or do you want allow me to communicate in the future if one of our portfolio companies, raising fund at that stage, or trying to build relationship with XYZ companies if they're already connected, to
Mhm.
help us to connect with them. So I'm trying to find the ways to communicate all along the way. It is not a one shot.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Dominica, can we share this thing? Do you have it? Let's see if how we are doing here. Or I don't know, I don't wonder if she can make you the host so that she can share it. She may have stepped away for a moment. I Let me see if I have sharing ability. Um, Arzu, see if you have sharing ability, because I do.
Okay, I see as well. Sorry if
Okay.
I keep waiting for everyone else.
It's okay, you're fine.
Okay, here is my file. Just a sec.
Yeah, she may have just stepped away for a moment, which
I
is
think I found it. Okay.
ooh, okay.
There is a roadshow we already done. This is the first email.
Mm.
I'm gonna share it with you. For instance, we were planning to go to Boston to be able to do office hours and do some meet some founders in Harvard and MIT, and we wanted to use this to communicate with prospective LPs. So 1 month I focused on the Boston contacts and created this email to communicate with them. This is the general structure of my email. We are coming, so let's have a conversation beforehand because I was trying to understand who are the potential A, startup founders, B, potential investors who might be interested in our fund. So that's why uh, if after I built, I communicated with people after sending this email, I already communicated 100 something people, 125, 100. They are academics, they are investors, they are, startup founder, serial entrepreneur, all these different people who might be interested in speaking with me. I sent this email to them. Before we go to Boston, I already, have conversations with how many of them? Again, 200 and something. So I understood that some people are really interested in our fund, might be interested in really, not really, but might interested in investing our fund or build connections with us or build relationship with us, or so we can have a conversation in the future with them, so we can have them in our community. So I created a list of people after our conversations. So when we went to Boston after our office hours, we had a gathering. So we already shared. We invited one of our portfolio companies. We shared our fund traction and everything. So after that, after several months, this visit, and some people said yes to us. So it took time, but it is really helpful. So the other thing is that I'm going to share here. This is email template. Um, Sometimes I tested this, it works. Sometimes you have to do A/B testing all the time. Some people, they are not looking at their LinkedIn profile. So in a period of time, I was sending the same messages, both LinkedIn, Sales Navigator at the same time for email, because they are not checking LinkedIn messages. They can see my email. They are not, seeing my email. If it goes to spam folder, they can look at my, LinkedIn message. So I tested all these things, so it works. I am very, how can I say, I am fast. I don't want to get yes or no, let's do that or not right down. So that's why I'm communicated in all channels. It is not a, spam or something. So mails are so I think, in my opinion, elegant, clear, and everything. So since I also don't like the back and forth, correspondence, I'm sharing all the information. I am based in that city. This is my Calendly. If you book through the Calendly, you don't have to, ask me the availability or something. You can put it directly on Calendly. Some people don't use this tool, so at that point, so I needed to explain all these things. And then our focus, and then here's our firm and the portfolio link. At that point, we had a portfolio, so I was sharing this. I see some messages, but I don't get it.
Don't worry about it.
So after our meeting, I am sending this mail to them, thanking them to have their time and providing all the information. If they are interested in, as a prospect, as an investor, potential investor, I'm sharing this. If they are not, I'm changing their stage to newsletter stage, and then or other stages to follow up with them, and putting some notes in Desal Hub in their profile, so to be able to remember when I need to communicate with them later. So this is they are so simple actually. These are the LinkedIn connection request templates. So I played a lot of different messaging. So this is for based corporate LPs or executives. The other one is for angel investors and LPs. So one is saying that if you are interested in our investment topic, we can have a conversation. The other one is I want to build some relationship with operators, investors in that areas. These are similar, but you can play, you can try, you can test all the time. So if you send me after our conversation, actually I didn't have time to create a playbook, but I'm working on a playbook. If you send me or follow me, I suppose on Friday I'm gonna send you a playbook, all these details in a very structural way. It will be easy to follow. So for exited funders, there is another messaging I tell. For the sales navigator email connection requests, these are simple emails. I don't like, hey, this is our trio VC, let's have a grab of coffee. Or I don't like any cliche messaging or something in the beginning.
I hate when people say I'd like to pick your brain. I feel
I
like
pick
that's
your
the
brain. Yeah,
grossest phrase.
I had those.
And also, like, no one has time for free labor. I would like want to never see that again.
Yeah, and the other thing I hate is please review my deck. Why should I review
Yeah.
your deck at the end? And the other thing is that sometimes there are people saying that, oh, your post they are using some tools, I suppose. I read your this post about this one, and then I impressed with this, and this is so cliche. This is so
Oh,
template
yeah, I totally
messages.
agree.
So I hate that. So please look at my messages. It is not, cliche or something. So I am providing some information why I am trying to reach out this person, what I want to do with that, and also sharing some information before making a decision. They can look at it, my information, so they can say yes or no. I am helping them to give me an appointment decision easier. So
Mhm.
and this is the when I'm working on this, I find the WhatsApp message that I shared with my co-founder. I'm trying to ways to do faster. Now we are using a very interesting tool with one of our portfolio companies, uh, AI bot on the Slack channel. It really helps us at this moment. So in the fundraising period, we will use the same tool as well. So after Claude and everything, CloudBot and everything, so everything's so easy and fast at this moment. So please send me an email or send me a LinkedIn message so I can share with my playbook with you if you want to deep dive in
I
detail.
think I think LinkedIn is probably the best. And
Okay.
Dominica, if you could maybe like pop Arzu's LinkedIn in the chat and mine in there too, in case people can't find one or the other. And if you can't find Arzu, you can reach out to me and we'll make sure that you get the playbook. All right, we've got a bunch of questions and we've got 15 minutes, so like let's get to them. This is I'm such a marketer and this has been such a fun conversation for me. Because fundraising is really just
I want to learn from others as well. This is my experience, but is there a very interesting way to do that, to cold reach out? So
yeah,
I'd like to learn
yeah.
as well.
All right, so I'm going to start in order of when the questions were asked. So some of these you may have asked as we went along, but if you have anything to add, do it. So a couple questions from Hazel. How the relationship was managed early on, providing value but not asking for money at the beginning, any tips to provide value? And someone else had asked in the chat earlier, were you a 506c? Were there any restrictions around sharing what you were doing? Now, it sounds like as you talked about this, you were pretty direct. There wasn't a lot of, like courting, I guess, before you were making asks, right?
Yeah. If I understand they are interested, you feel that. What is the minimum ticket size? This is the first question. And how many LPs you have at this moment? So these are telling me they might be interested in. So in the beginning, we asked several our LPs to to share their name in our conversations, especially for our cold outreach and the cold conversations and our meetings, because this is the first time as 3GPs we are building a firm in the United States coming from Turkey. So that's why it was really important to us. Some of them, they are also putting themselves as a people in the LinkedIn, as a person who are aligned with Trio VC. So if I knew that the person I am speaking with, who is connected with one of our LPs, also I am sharing that, this person and that person and that person are also LPs. It also gives a credibility and trust. After our conversation, they are getting referral call with them, having a referral call with them. So I know them, and I'm also inform our LPs, this person I spoke with this today, he might call you, she might call you, or can you also directly reach out to them to in favor of us, share our, work and everything, you're as an LP. So it was, you have to be all the time proactive.
That's great. All right. And then Hazel also asked, what were the traction metrics that you shared with LPs during this phase? And I'm sure this changed over the course of the fund. I know
Yeah.
you said you had raised money, before you were a VC, and then I imagine over the course of the fund, you were investing in companies. So can you tell us a little bit about like, were there track record things? Were there traction things you could share? Were there metrics that made a difference?
Hmm. Yeah, it made a difference. It builds, I wish I had communicated with several people at the end of, in the middle of fundraising, because in the beginning, when I communicated with them, it was easy to get their, time, that who are serial entrepreneurs, billionaires, etc. But in the beginning, there was no any traction record, only vision. So they didn't interested in.
Yeah.
So in the middle of fundraising or at the end, you can share that your portfolio companies valuation increase or their growth metrics on ARR range, or how can I say, how many people they already hire. Sometimes it is interesting. So these are the metrics people are thinking that you are investing in great companies. And sometimes we are sharing how many companies invested in so far. Sometimes people are asking, how much of your fund size you already raised. This is also giving a signal about the ticket sizes. They are asking some of them are really experienced. So asking how many LPs you have so far, how much have you raised so far, because they are checking your explanation. If you say that our ticket size is tier 300 and saying more more LPs and the fundraise is small, they are smart. So
Yeah.
be proactive, know your numbers, be authentic, be clear, so transparent. So if they're interested in, they're interested in investing in.
That's it. That's a good tip. Like know what they're going to ask you next if you start down that road.
Yeah.
All right. And so again, I'm sort of asking you the same thing from different directions, but I think it's subtly different. So Nicole asked, when there was no traction, how did you convince the first few to invest? And part of this is just like you were you and people invest in you. But was there a light bulb moment for people? Was it the thesis? Was it your experience? Was it the combination of the three of you? Like in those first few conversations, what do you think it was that made people pull the trigger?
In the beginning, if you don't have any traction, you shouldn't communicate with the cold, outreaches. You shouldn't think about this, in my opinion.
Okay, you start with warm.
No, no, no. You start with the people you know
You
who
know,
knows you, and then you already worked, you already received funding before them. So first, LinkedIn first degree connections, You should
got it.
start from that. When you build some traction, you build your muscle about sharing your company, sharing your portfolio, etc. And afterwards, you can start to communicate with other people you don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. And
And
so,
on the other hand,
yeah,
Sarah, I can tell that all the cold outreach that I made, actually, either they are connection with one of our LPs or not LPs, but I know that person is connected with some key investors who is in their circle. So that gives signals to me. So it is not
there's
just,
some social proof.
yeah, social proof. You need to understand who might be interested in this type of VC, as an investment asset. So if they don't know anything about this asset, it is a waste of time. You need to educate them, you need to nurture them about, it is so time consuming.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Steve asks, hey Steve, were you raising a 506B? And if yes, did you deal with general solicitation during outreach?
Yeah, we were so careful about solicitation. We never, I never, in the first conversation, not starting with directly, we are fundraising, we need money. Would you be interested in investing us? This is not the conversation that I'm leading. I'm leading that I'm communicated with people,
Mhm.
this for this three reason. So after our conversation, we can find a good mutual area to collaborate in this three, focus. You can be invested. Some people are interested in investing. You can. I'm not saying that you might be become an investor after our call. I'm not saying that. I'm having this conversation, but people sometimes interested in investing in VC asset. I like to understand their perspectives and their insights and collaborating with our portfolio companies and building some mentorship network. So we do that. We always connect our portfolio companies with some people. So that's why I need to enlarge my network. So that's why it's so important to have this conversation with you. I am the one who is giving that message clearly, not
Mhm,
just
mhm.
focus on immediately on the first call, getting money from them.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Pankaj asks, what percentage of the cold LinkedIn connection requests get a response or acceptance?
Um, I haven't calculated yet, but if they are clearly saying no, they are saying yes, and let's meet if they see that, I'm
Mhm.
very confident about this. I don't know the exact number, but 80, 85, 90% maybe. If they see, if they read, if they saw and if they read, so they can give me an appointment because they're
Yeah.
curious about to learn what you're building.
So the hard thing is someone seeing it. That's what I would imagine on
Hard
LinkedIn.
thing is someone is saying that. Hard thing is to give them a, trust and
Yeah.
to give them a curiosity seeds through your personal branding, through your LinkedIn, etc., whatever you posted on before.
God, I have to say the if I had to like highlight the one thing you said in those templates, and like I realize being a journalist is different than an LP, but in so many ways it isn't. And this used to drive me fucking crazy as a journalist because everyone did it. Do not put false flattery at the top of it. Like that was the smartest thing you said in that is that I loved your post about like do not do that. That is the smart and I guarantee you that is one of those things. Like I asked at the beginning, why did people say I trust you? And it's little things like that that you did throughout the process. Like you did not bullshit them. Because
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they're asking that, how did you connect with me? How did you find me? Because I did my research. I'm explaining all my processes because I'm trying to enlarge my network. So I
yeah.
want to communicate with the persons as you are. So I did my research. I find you. And afterwards, I wanted to connect with you. I chose you to
Yeah.
connect.
And I think like I when I open like my inbox, even LinkedIn still, if I go on LinkedIn and I have like 40 things, I scan them and any ones that start with, I thought this was great. I did anything like says that, it's like I don't open it because it sounds like a sales pitch. That is such smart advice. Okay. So it's like you say so many things that sound obvious afterwards, but people all do wrong. Okay, sorry. Let's say so Alex asks, what tool can you recommend to track connections that won't take forever to manage?
That's all hub.
Yeah. Thank you. We didn't even pay you for that one. Once again, Dental Hub. So that's our software that we, provide. And if you once I should just say again, cohort 21 applications. If you've been listening to this and you're just like, whoa, there's been too much to take notes on. So much of this, Arzu figured out on her own. A lot of these steps are part of the VC Lab playbook as well. And we always have grads and mentors like Arzu coming in and doing office hours as well. So she's one of 1,000 constellations of stars, and Decil Hub software is one of the things that helps you through this. All right, Matthew asks in her first outreach, how are you asking them for a meeting? Okay, we looked at templates. I'm going to skip that one. Okay, we asked general solicitation. LinkedIn message, we did that. Um, okay, this is a little bit wonky, but there's people in the program here. Did you use the Decil Hub Pack flow where you only have a first conversation and do not provide any follow-up material until after it's signed, or did you have an alternate, more customized approach?
I'm not so sure what is being
Okay, we'll
asked
skip
so
it then.
far.
No worries. Okay, I'm trying. We have like one more minute, so I'm looking like, what's the best question? So many on general solicitation. We finished that one.
You have to be
Um,
careful about the general solicitation, definitely.
yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. Okay, so there's a lot of questions that are all around portfolio and are
Mm.
all around what are you pitching at the beginning. Can you
Mm.
talk a little bit about that? Like when you're pitching your vision before you're investing, when you're talking about your portfolio, when you're pitching this, like what are you really pitching and how are you doing that and how did you approach that? There's sort of five or six questions generally around that.
Okay,
I
my
can detail
approach
them
was
up.
that, telling a story about myself, how I ended up as a VCGP, because it was all related with my career or my story. At the end, I'm, I'm not sharing the investment thesis, but at the end, we are building Trio VC. So we have some vision about this. We are focusing on specifically some startups, our investment focus, explaining investment focus. So, and then explaining how we invested in these companies, how we are helping them. There are two things investors are interested in learning more. What is your value you creating for an investor as an LP because they are investing in, but at the end, the small VCs as us or micro VCs, they are using this as a community. They are using as a network.
Mhm.
It might be really helpful for them, for
Mhm.
some investors. They are, for instance, I'm explaining that for LPs, we are monthly Trio VC LP club meetings. All our LPs can join the meeting to get to know each other and to understand better our pipeline and portfolio company updates. And also sometimes we are inviting pipeline companies we might consider as an investment or new investment funder, CEO, we are inviting them as a portfolio spotlight so they understand our investment strategy and how we are investing and how we are thinking about the investment. So they can also provide some feedback and insights to us. This is really interesting for them because getting to know each other is really important because at the end they are building some relations with each other. So the second thing is actually providing a co-investment opportunity. So when we invite some of the companies, even though we are not investing in that, we are sharing that this is not the company we are investing in, but you might be interested in, or this is the portfolio company we already invested in, and they are also raising fund. So this is another option. The third one is we are providing an opportunity to test to use the new solutions for their company. So I'm sharing this three. And for the portfolio companies, we are providing, we are helping them their go-to-market strategy. All the VCs are doing this, but we are really helpful for them to connect with them, even though they are, Google credits to go-to-market strategy, to LinkedIn profile, etc. We are very hands-on. So if they are allow us to help them, we are ready, more than ready to help them. So we are also explaining the case studies and stories around this.
Which again just comes down to like empathy and listening and all of those things. All right, we are gonna wrap. I want to add one thing. Poor Jesse said, "What if you legitimately did like what they have to say?" And I'm just gonna say, don't put it in the first line of your LinkedIn because it will sound phony. And wait until you have the call to bring it up. But that is the sweetest answer ever, Jesse. Like, no, I did like what you have to say. And I think if you say it because in the conversation, then they will take it authentically. This, I have to say, like, this has been such a low drop off rate for a webinar. People were really hungry for this and like people were
Oh,
wrapped the whole time. Thank you so much. Again, folks, you can follow Arzu or me on LinkedIn. Message us. We will not ignore you in the chat, and we will get you this playbook if if you want. And yeah, like message back and let us know like your tips as well. Maybe we'll start a conversation on LinkedIn about it, and folks can share. I'll put something on my LinkedIn and tag you, and we can start a thread and share other tips because this is such a fascinating conversation. Thank you all for joining, and thank you. And I'm so glad you're feeling better, and we got to do this.
thank you, Sarah.
Um,
It was
and
always fun to speak with you.
yeah, we really appreciate your generosity and just sharing all this stuff. It's so much about what the Dessel family is all about. And everyone have a great rest of your Thursday. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.